Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Happiness Rocks podcast. I'm so happy to be in the studio with my friend and healer, Eric Sénéchal. His business name is Rejuvenate Hope with Pulsors. He has been on the podcast before. We talked briefly about how he talks to angels, so you may have heard it a few episodes back. That was a really popular episode. A lot of people wanted more angel stuff, and that is exactly what we have here today. We're going to talk about grounding. We're going to talk about angels, how to connect. We're also going to talk about the darker energies that many of us might be afraid of, but we must not be afraid because the light is stronger than the dark. So let's have an expansive, wonderful talk with Eric. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So welcome to the studio, Eric.
Thank you very much.
Very happy to have you here. I am so excited to see what flows today because
Yes.
we're both kind of showing up and seeing what happens. But anytime we get together, we have great conversations.
Always, yes. So we'll see what the universe brings us today.
Yes. What would be your biggest intention for our conversation today?
Oh, that's a good question. I love that one. The intention is to open people's mind to what else is out there, to open people's mind to be able to acknowledge and experience another side of what society is not used to. There's a lot outside of the norm that people can take advantage of in the energy world. There's more than what our eyes can see.
Yes.
And I want people to be able to experience and see the benefits it can bring into their life on using these new techniques, these new things that people are starting to open up, which I'm happy that it's starting more and more.
I love that. And I think that you're just the guy to bring this intention to my listeners because, to be honest, your sessions that I've gone to for energy healing, that's where I really started to feel energy and like really notice, oh yeah, I do feel things. Like I do, you know what I mean? So like my spiritual veil, I guess you could say, has opened a lot since receiving treatments from you. And I met you simply by chance at a wellness expo, won a prize to get an energy healing from you, and I have continued to go back. And I think it's simply because of that reason is like you and your work has helped me notice energy.
Yeah.
And since then, I've become certified in energy healing and things like this, and it's like a beautiful blossom that keeps, blooming. But so do you think we can bring this intention that you hold of opening people up to realizing that there is this like reserve of energy that we can call upon at any time to help us? So how can we do this in a session? Where do we begin?
There's a lot actually. So first of all, I want to say it was not chance for you to be able to win that prize. Everything was already made into the universe. You attract that because you were ready.
Yeah.
So your soul was ready for the next step, and you needed that little boost.
Yeah.
So you attract that into the universe for that to happen. For you to the hundreds of people that actually sound their name into that box, it was yours that came out. So there was a reason behind that. It was intention that was brought into your life. And for people to be able to start with this, we have a lot of, like you've seen in this session, like obviously when we do the pulsar session, lots happen during the session energetically. And it helps to open up people, but there's the physical side that happens obviously during the session that helps people to be, not that we heal anything, but we just help the body to be able to heal itself. But there's also, on the part of what you've seen on your side, is on the energy side, which is much greater than just your body. And when it's opening up, clearing the channels, it's able for your body to be able to attract in your life what you need energetically to be more open up, to be more connected, having your third eye open up more so your intuition grows. That all happens during one of the sessions. And also how we can work with the angels that are there for us to work with. So it goes so much deeper than the visible, really, of what people can see. And I have quite a few customers that have noticed that, something like you, that experience after receiving a few sessions a lot of stuff that changed into their life,
Yeah.
in their surrounding. So I've seen that quite a lot. Like what you said yourself, to start to be a healer yourself too,
Yeah.
with your energy training that you have taken. It opened that up for you. And I've seen with other customers that their environment has changed. The people around them have started to behave differently around them, see them in a different way. People are more calm around them. They've been attracting different situation in their life, promotions to more love around their in their family. Excuse me. People that were around them that were aggravating them before, they were not anymore. They were just letting it go, like getting away from them if their energy was clashing, or they just starting to see them in a different way and paying more attention to the positiveness that that person was actually bringing, and starting
Yes.
noticing that kind of stuff.
Like holding your energy, and then that creates everything around you,
Mm-hmm.
even if there's people who might be mistreating you.
Yes.
Like, can I say a quick story
Sure.
of something that happened to me
Of course.
recently? I was at our family trailer at the beach the night of the meteor showers.
Mhm.
So very, very recently. And I was like, oh my gosh, meteor showers. I have to take a beach blanket down, lay down, watch this. Like, I was very excited about it. So I did. And so I'm alone on the dark beach, and I hear there's like a few people a little further down, like 3 men further down. And I'm just like totally in my zone. And then all of a sudden, they start flashing a flashlight on me, and I'm alone, and it's just kind of like, that's kind of weird,
Sketchy,
right?
yeah.
But they're drinking and that type of thing.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, whatever. And he's like, are you okay? And I said, kind of in a confident, firm voice, like, are you talking to me? Just kind of like energetically holding my space a little bit.
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm just here watching the meteor shower. I don't know if you guys know, there's a meteor shower tonight. They were fishing. And pardon my language, but they were like, wow, what a bitch. Like, what's wrong with her? And that type of thing. And it was just so weird, because it was like, what? Like, that wasn't my intention at all.
Yeah.
But the old me might be trying to correct it, or maybe feel threatened by them or something. But instead, it was just like, not worth it. They're just on a total different frequency, and not even worth giving any attention to that.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good example of when you are taking care of your own energy, you start to, well, I guess maybe I shouldn't have even attracted that in.
Well, not necessarily. I think it was just it just was something that just happened on the moment the way it was. But because you were grounded and connected and living in the present moment, which is the key to be grounded, your energy was not the same as them, obviously. And they zig as you zag. So even though you did not say anything disrespectful or anything like that, they had to have that perspective of you being, like, quote unquote, like you said, a bitch.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't say anything like that, for them to be able to walk away, to leave you alone so you can enjoy the present moment of those meteor shower.
Yeah.
Those guys might have a different intention in mind, but protection, and I think there were some angels around you.
I believe there were.
They were protecting you to push them away, for them to be able to capture that side of the sentence you said, which was not at all what you've meant, but they had to interpret it that way for them to walk away, to leave you alone. So there was a little protection on the other side of what they did, and we've seen that before, right? Like, even when we play a telephone game, if somebody says a phrase, and then you can ask 5 person, or not necessarily a telephone game, but you can ask 5 person what did they got from that phrase that you said, and everybody got to have a different interpretation. So it's something similar that happened. You said something in one way, but being grounded and firm, like you said, to protect yourself and ground yourself, and them taking it the other way, that to make sure to leave you alone, to make sure you are safe where you were. So it worked out on your side, and I'm happy you didn't let that get to you and stop you from enjoying a beautiful night, of enjoying that beautiful.
Because it was beautiful.
That's one of the most Mother Nature spectacular thing that she can do. That's definitely a blessing, and we we can have as a show.
Actually, yeah, that's something I've noticed since getting a lot of energy healings and things. Well, I guess not energy healings, but since I have started prioritizing taking care of my energy and like understanding how important it is like, yeah, you're way more connected to nature.
Yes,
as well.
we are. We definitely are. And the scientist part of it, we can just say real quick, is the Mother Earth, the ground vibrates at 7.832 hertz. And that's the same frequency as a mother's heartbeat. We are connected to Earth. And when we're not, that's when we don't feel as well. That's when stress kicks in. That's when your mind is racing. That's when the little monkeys in your head, like I say all the time, it's just they're just racing in there. And in an extreme case, that's when people start to get ill. So that is very important to ground yourself. And a lot of people asking me like, what do you mean by grounding yourself? Like what's the physical action of doing that? Sometimes it's just taking deep breaths. Best way to do it is to actually walk outside barefoot in the grass, in the sand. That's a very good way to connect yourself, because we all know, like, well, not all everybody knows, but most people do know that there's a lot of energy points in our hands, same thing in our ears and underneath our feet. And all those energy spots that we have, like you can work on the heart, you can work on the lungs, you can work on different organs of the body just by working underneath your feet. So your feet is connected to all your organs of the body. So when you walk outside barefoot, you're basically connecting all your body, your organs through your feet and getting that energy through your feet. So it's very important to ground yourself that way. Like we should do that all the time as much as possible. And to the point that actually, it's scientifically based too, but they were saying like people that were doing the Olympics, it is the law that they have to wear shoes. They are not allowed, like Africans want to race when they're doing the 100 meter race and all those races, they wanted to do it barefoot because they perform better, because guess what? You're connected to the earth. That way you get more energy. Exactly. And they were performing very well, and they had to put a law that you have to have sneakers so everybody has the same energy level, not harvesting the energy from the ground. So it's illegal to not wear any shoes during the Olympics because the people were performing better.
How interesting. Huh?
Yeah. So, and there's a whole book about grounding, which I'm actually reading right now. So it's an amazing book explaining what it does. It takes inflammation, it takes pain, it helps people sleep better. It's all the benefits of taking that magnetic energy out of our body through our feet and down to the ground. And you can also do a little test real quick, what I've done with some of my friends, and everybody freaks out when they do it because they don't pay attention when you're walking outside, but you actually stop and just feel the ground, and you can start to feel like a zzz underneath your feet, and that's the energy being transferred from your body to the ground.
There's so much that we don't notice, but now that you've mentioned that, I bet many of us will notice that.
Yes, I'm sure they will, because everybody that did it so far with me, they all realize like, oh my God. And it doesn't matter, it could be feet in the sand or in the grass or on the rocks. Like I did a video on YouTube with one of my friends, which is a rock climber like me, and we were both standing on rocks right in the middle of the river, and he could feel that zapping underneath his feet too. So it's very powerful, very powerful.
That's amazing. Grounding wise, you hear a lot of people talk about like they love to garden and that type of thing because that's connecting you.
They say it's a therapy. That's why.
That is why.
Yeah, because it's the same thing. Our hands is all reflexology. Same thing with the feet and the hands, right? So that's why it feels so good to the ladies. Well, most ladies like to play with plants and dirt in the ground because they're connected directly into it.
I feel like part of the grounding ritual, is noticing and like putting your intention into the grounding ritual. So if you're walking outside barefoot, it's still working.
Yes.
I feel like it's elevated by putting the intention there.
Intention is very strong.
Yeah.
Very strong. I've noticed personally myself when I do long distance pulsar sessions with customers, if I just do the session and we'll say listen to music and not necessarily not pay attention, but I'm doing the session. I know what I'm doing, but I'm not focusing my intention into that person, the result's not going to be the same as if I do.
Yeah.
So we've noticed, like, especially when there's something wrong physically with that person, it helps them more when I do the intention part. Or even though if you do a mistake, but your intention was correct, it will still act the correct way. even though you're doing it the wrong way.
It will. That's something I've noticed.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
like
amazing.
you could have your hands, because I do touch with my healing sessions, like
Okay.
touching the body.
Yes.
And I've heard many times that like I'll have my hand maybe on the heart and they'll feel the heat down,
The legs.
yeah,
Yeah.
down on their legs or
That's
wherever.
the energy
right?
flowing. That's
Yeah. So we as the healers, I hate that term, but
yeah.
those of us who have chosen the
Channelers.
healing arts,
Yes.
we aren't in control, but our intention helps.
Yes.
The light comes in regardless, but
Yep.
intention definitely helps. And intention of the client as well.
Yes. But you'll see that too. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen some massage therapists. It's like, oh, I got like a crooked neck there. It hurts in my neck and all that. Like, yeah, no problem. They're going to start working on your bum or on the lower back. And you're like, well, the pain's in my neck. It's not down there.
Yeah.
And because I actually literally said those words to one of my massage therapists. And she says like, yeah, like, can she press exactly where it hurts? I'm like, yeah, that's the spot. Yeah. And then she keeps working in the bottom of my back. And I'm like, why are you working there? She says, it's so tight in the bottom of my back that it's pulling the muscles in my neck, and that's why my neck is hurting. So as soon as she released that tension in the bottom of my back, my neck was actually much better, and then she massaged a little bit and then just came right back to normal on my neck. So when we work with the energy, it's a similar thing. Even though we're working at, like I said, your heart chakra, if you're working there, the blockage could be there, but what causes that to be blocked? It might be in the leg. That's the issue. A blockage in the leg that stops the energy to flow to the heart, and that's why the heart was weak. So when you're working there, it was fixing the leg issue.
Our bodies are so incredible, and like to know about energy and how there's so much there that we can, well, really paying attention to energy is all, I'm gonna say, is as important as paying attention to the health of the body.
For sure. 100%.
And there's ways of healing the body through energy healing alone.
I can give you a proof for that in like a couple sentences.
Do it.
Yeah, real quick. Just to show how energy can make a huge difference on the body. I would say I'm not a doctor, so I'm not making any claims, but I'll say close to 90%, or even maybe more than 90% of all the ill disease that people have is all related to emotions.
Yeah,
and what's emotion?
That.
Emotion is energy.
Yeah.
Fix the emotion, the body will heal itself. So it's always trauma they went through. It's always like most allergies, it's all related to trauma. That they ate something while they were going through something difficult. That's why they say, if you're stressed out, do not eat, because your body doesn't know if it's the food that caused the issue or it's going to be the emotion that you're going through. So that's how you develop an allergy. So it's very, very related to emotional aspect.
And I've heard too, literally just yesterday, I was listening to a podcast and there was a psychic on, and he's a big time guy. Like, he's been on Oprah.
Nice.
And I forget his name, but one thing he mentioned was the crazy amounts of healing that he has seen with his clients by doing past life things.
Yes.
Things like, well, he mentioned his clients that are really cold all the time, like cold extremities.
Yeah.
Like Raynaud's syndrome, which I have. And he said that he has made the connection that oftentimes people who have this in this life, they've died of hypothermia in a previous life. And I was like, wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
maybe,
funny.
maybe not, but like I kind of trust it. He's had so many success stories, and it makes sense because I mean, I know our bodies hold the score, they keep a lot in.
Yes.
And our soul, I believe, remembers.
It's attached, it's a part of the body.
Yeah.
Definitely 100%. I actually had a customer at the beginning of the week, this week actually we just had, which we have something similar to that. So that story's not in my book, so I'm going to say it here.
Yeah.
It's because it's so fresh. This customer came in. If she listens to that podcast, she's gonna know who I'm talking about, because I know she listened to your podcast.
Oh, good.
She was having a lot of, well, I didn't know that, and she never told me anything, but when we worked on the Pulsor session, we were working on her heart chakra, her throat chakra, and it was spinning so much. It was insane how much it was spinning so much. And we were just pulling out, and she started coughing, and you know the type of cough of somebody that smoked for like 40 years?
Yeah.
She's a young lady, actually, today's her birthday, and she's in her 20s. And she had that cough of somebody that smoked for like 40 years. So obviously she's only in her 20s, so it's definitely not.
Yeah.
I looked at her, I'm like, did you have a cold or something? She says, no. I'm like, and that cough was deep, like really, really, really deep cough. I'm like, you don't smoke or anything like that, don't you? She's like, no, I don't. And then I'm like, okay, it's something different. So I actually had to stop twice because she was coughing so much. Like she was like literally choking, coughing. And she looked at me, she's like, can I stand up? I'm like, yeah, yeah. So she got up on the table and just trying to get her breath again because it was so intense. And so I'm like, okay. When she calmed back down, I put her back on the table, put back the pulses on her, and we started to do the session on her. And I'm like, all right, I need some guidance from the angel to see what's going on with this because this ain't normal. So as I was spinning out, and I'm telling her, let's stay there for like a good 7, 8 minutes, which is at one spot. Usually it's 1 or 2 minutes. So that was drastic. And she's a healthy woman, so there's not health issues or anything. She just comes because she's similar to you. She just like the result that she's getting around her life. And during that time, the angels came to see me, and I saw her. And we know from a past session that her soul was an Indian person in the past. Like she's very connected to Mother Earth. She's very connected to the herbs. She's really energetically too. She's very connected, and we already knew that part. And I saw a vision of her being choked out by another Indian person. So obviously they were both Indians, but she was being choked. Not that she died that time, she just got choked quite bad. And when he let her go, so basically she passed out, but she was not dead. She was able to live after that. But that memory of her soul of being choked out was coming out through that session. I was using one of the strongest pulsars we have, which is a 9 frequency, which are extremely amazing pulsars. And we work on past life with those pulsars, and that's what literally was what was coming out of her, is that because she got choked, and it was literally just the front of the throat, not the side. The sides were okay. And when I saw that vision, I told her what I just saw, and she says, like, my God, that makes so much sense. And I'm like, I bet with you that you always had some issues in your childhood, like a lot of throat issues, infections, stuff like that. She says, my whole life, and they never found anything. They saw the doctors, they done a whole bunch of tests. They could not find why she had so many problems with her throat. And it's just literally because of her soul remembering that memory from her past life coming into this life, and there was an energy blockage there, obviously. So that's why her throat chakra was weak. Therefore, her physical throat was weak. And by being able to release that from her past life, she's going to be able to be back normal and not have any issues anymore with her throat. And as soon as we were done with the session, she was back normal. Her voice was back normal. She wasn't coughing anymore. She's like, I feel great. I feel like super light. She did notice that like a big weight was coming off of her shoulder. And it's because we were able to do that detachment of that past trauma that she had in the past life. So the soul has the memories of all of our lives that we went through. And we bring that into our body because of our soul is in our body, and therefore at a cellular level there's memories into the cell of the body, and the body reacts physically to what's.
What a testimony. And that's probably also like for good things as well. Like sometimes you'll meet people or like go to a certain place and just be like, oh, like
you see 3-year-old kids. You see 3-year-old kids playing piano like Mozart. That 3-year-old, where do you think that kid took that? It takes like 20 years of experience to be able to play to that level of instruments. And we see that to many different instruments, like, or arts or stuff like that. Like they're born with that gift. I'm like, yes, but last life, they actually work really hard to have that. And similar to me, right? Obviously, my gift is with energy, and I'm so receptive and working with angels and all that all the time that it's something that I've many of my past life, many past life that I've been working energetically, and that's why I was doing that since I'm a kid. It's just in tune into my body. My soul memories has all those memories from the past that I can just reactivate back in this life.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see that with kids that they're babies and they're doing amazing stuff. So it comes from that.
I want to touch on the soul a little bit too. Like the soul, the way I like to talk about the soul is that it is our truth. Mm-hmm. It is who we are. 100%. It's our truth.
Yes.
So doing energy work, energy healing, or taking time to meditate, that's a way you can do your own energy healing, or like taking time to go out in nature, as we said, to ground. That's a way. All of these things bring us back to our soul. Mm-hmm. And then that helps us make these decisions in our life where they're much more authentic, they're much more aligned, they're real and true to who we are.
Yes.
And sometimes the people in our life don't see they don't understand maybe when we're so in touch with our soul
Yes.
and we choose our soul and we
Yes.
choose what's real. It's like, but no,
They're not there yet.
on paper, this, what you had looks right. And it's like, but no, like in my
Intuitively,
truth,
yeah.
you can't.
There's no formula for your intuition. There's no proof. It's intuition. It's divine. It's connection with God or the higher self. Take it the name you want. It's energy at the top. It's that connection that you'll get that energy. And again, like literally what you just said, that happened many times between me and my father. We have a great relationship with my father. I love my dad, and we spend a lot of good time together. But there was a lot of times, and he knows how I am. He doesn't always understand it, but he believes, because I show him so many proofs. And we were talking about different things, and just for an example, real quick, right before COVID, actually, he was talking to me like I should go get my degree for naturopath. And after meditating, it was telling me no,
Right.
don't get your degree in a naturopath, and which is totally my field of what I actually do. So I should, and if I would, financially would be a very good thing to do, because I could declare my services through the insurance and
That's
get
right.
more customers.
Yeah, it's
So
a good loophole.
yeah. So for my father, being a businessman as he is, mathematically, paper-wise, it makes complete sense. More money, more customers, and you should just go get it. And whatever the amount is going to cost, you'll make it within a couple of years, and it's going to be paid and done. So paperwork, it makes sense. But I was telling him when I went with my meditation, it was telling me no, don't do it. My spirit guide kept telling me don't do it. So I didn't do it. And then COVID hit, and then all the regulation came in, and then forcing the vaccine on everybody, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to keep my body as my temple as pure as possible to be easier connection and all that. So if I would have went with that path, I would have had be obligated to take the vaccine, which personally for me I didn't want to, and I would have been forced to follow all those regulations. Some of them definitely make sense. Some of them were extremist.
Yeah.
And I would have had, there was a lot of stuff business-wise that would change if I would have went that route. And because I did not take that course, I was not obligated to follow 100% those regulations that did not make sense. I mean, wash the floor 3 times a day, wash your clothes between customers. There was so many regulations that was like, oh my God. I saw the other therapist going through it, and I'm like, oh man, I'm happy I'm not you guys. So I was just doing all the session in long distance instead and taking care of my customers that way. So they were safe and I was safe. But I was following my gut, even though paperwork, it was not making any more sense. And I have stories over stories over stories that way that like similar situation like that we have to follow your gut feeling. Doesn't matter what people are telling you around you. It doesn't matter how it looks on papers. If your gut feeling's telling you one thing, that's the right answer. And when you work with angels, like most of the time, I'll touch 2 little things here. Your gut feeling, you have more neurotransmitters in your gut that you have in your own brain.
Mm-hmm.
And the divine connection goes through your gut. That's where your belly button is. This where your flower of life energy is. This is where the strength is coming from, the divine. So they always say, follow your gut. And if your gut is not working well, your brain is not working well. So people that, like my wife, that used to be celiac, now she had depression, she had anxiety, she has all that. We fixed her gut. It's all gone. No medication, no nothing. So that's how that connection divine works on a person.
I love that you mentioned that the flower of life is in your gut.
Yes, that's where the silver cable is attached to your belly button, to your soul. It's all related to going to your gut, to your belly button.
What about the heart? Because the heart's very connected as well.
Yes, definitely. And it's all interconnected as an 8. We're kind of jumping subject here, but it's all interconnected as an 8. It does a figure 8 all over each chakra. So when one is not working well, it affects the other one. Just like a highway. If somebody's driving too slow on the highway, it stops all the cars behind you. So it's a similar thing. That's why energetically, if you can ground yourself or get sessions with me, obviously, we can clear the path so the flow can be very good. But the heart is definitely one of the portion. And for meditation, you want to connect the heart to your third eye, so that way you can actually do astral voyage.
Oh, that's how you do it. Okay, heart with
your intention of your heart. Yeah, you bring your third eye, so your mind, and you bring it to your heart and visualize within the heart where you are. So that's your intention being there, and then you can fly anywhere you want in the world and visit, and you'll when you do it correctly, like with somebody that can guide you to do it, there's ways to do that, but you can actually. I flew with an eagle. I went to a volcano. You don't get burned. I walked through a beach. And you can feel the sand through your toes. When I flew with the eagle, he actually turned his head and looked at me. He knew I was on the back of the eagle. As soon as I grabbed him in the wings, he saw me.
So you do this when you're sleeping or meditating?
Meditating.
Okay, meditating. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all
interesting.
There's different levels of how you can go, but yeah, you can go to past life. You can.
Any tips? So other than connecting with your heart to your mind.
For the basic, a lot of time is taking deep breath first, calming the body down, relaxing the muscles. Like I usually, at the beginning when I was having a hard time, I was visualizing, okay, my toes, my feet, I could feel my muscles just letting go. And then I'm doing my calf, and I can do my quads, and I can feel my legs sinking to the mattress when I'm doing that. It's getting heavier and heavier, and you do the whole body that way, and once your whole body's down into the mattress, that's when you can actually start to connect your intuition to whatever you want to do next. If you want to go to your laboratory to do some work on yourself, if you want to do, that's all in the book that's going to be released hopefully soon.
It's important to ground yourself before doing astral travel.
Yes. Ask your guardian angel to protect yourself, because you don't want any entities to come into you, or because when your soul is leaving your body, that's when you want your guardian angel to protect the body while it's gone, so there's no other souls coming in. And that's one of the reasons why religion-wise, I don't want to talk about religion, but they're saying like it's good to do a prayer before going to bed, because your soul is leaving your body when you're sleeping, so you want to protect your body while you're sleeping too.
So we're always astral traveling at night when we sleep.
Yes.
But so you're talking about more of a setting an intention to do your travels with.
Exactly.
And do you feel we can really heal some deep parts of ourselves by setting that intention before astral traveling?
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely, because you can go talk to the little girl inside of you, or the little, in my case, little guy inside of you.
Yeah.
If there's something that I went through in my life, in my childhood, that was difficult for me, that is stopping me or is giving me issues right now, like it could be something as simple as hearing the phrase of, oh, and I'm talking personally here, but like money's hard to do. Like it's hard to make money. It's hard work. It's big hours. Like I saw my father working tremendously at work, and I've been thought that if you don't work hard, you don't get money. But that's false. You can attract money to you instead. So I'm telling you that right now, but I probably should work on that myself right now. But it's actually to go talk to that little guy inside of me. And this is totally the angels telling me that right now. This is a lesson for myself that I'm telling you guys. I gotta go and meditate and actually talk to that little kid inside of me, telling him that it's false. It's just a belief that needs to be released from me, that you can attract money like a magnet would do, and bring it into your life, and then you'll have those situations. It's just going to happen for you, just boom, 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 boom. Just like the river, you don't fight the river, you go down the river, and it has to flow that way. Life is not supposed to be hard. Or thought it is not true. It is meant to flow just like Mother Nature is easy. Water flows down the river, trees grow, grass grows, plants grows easily. There's no difficulty into that. It's all effortless. Everything's effortless in nature. Why is the human being has to be so difficult?
Yeah, our resistance is what stops the flow for sure.
Yeah, it's our beliefs, so we need to change that, so we can talk to that little kid inside and taking out old beliefs that the family has put on you, not purposely, not to be mean or anything. It's just
a past life has put on you.
Or a past life, yeah. And it's just something you can release that way for that kid to know, so that way your present life is going to be able to change.
Awesome. Now, I know that I've talked to you personally about, because like there's been times I've been in session with you and you're like, wow, like your third eye is totally open, you're ready, like, and I'm, but I feel resistance because I'm a little bit afraid. Like, what if I start seeing things that scare me or whatever with my third eye being open? So I definitely have some resistance.
Yes.
And I remember you said it's like, just like as if you go to the drugstore and there's like happy people there who are very high vibe, and then there's like denser.
Yes.
Put your attention on the good vibes.
Exactly.
So if something bad comes to you when you're traveling or meditating or whatever, you can always switch to seeing something that.
Yes, and you ask your guardian angel to protect or take it away.
Yeah.
You can ask, that's the easiest way, with your guardian angel or your spirit guide, And for extreme situation, you can always ask Archangel Michael to, because he's super powerful. Like I work with him all the time, and he's strong, and he'll take any bad energy that's trying to get you. Because it, like just like you said, like people here, there's good and bad. On the other side, it's the same thing. There's good and bad energies. So you really need to set your attention properly and do the right thing. Because if you put your ego into it, and I'm talking about experience here, as a kid when I was testing and trying, you can go in very bad place. And you don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that, because as powerful as it is on the positive side, there are as powerful on the negative side. So intention is very important. Protection is very important. When you do that kind of stuff, it could be an amazing experience to go through in positiveness. But you want to make sure that your intention before starting those to go on the positive side, and ask for those protection. It's always good to have little polices around you to protect you.
I want to know the why of astral traveling. Like why? Why would anyone want to do it?
I've only done it a few times myself. It's the experience is amazing. It's limitless. The body's physical body is limited to the law of the earth, but the soul is not. The soul has the freedom to do anything it wants to do. And when you do traveling around, like it's impossible for us to go to a volcano. Well, you can go to a volcano, but to get in a volcano, it's impossible because your body's going to burn. But the soul can go there and experience like the heat and the power and the strength of the Mother Earth and the energy that is there, that is super, super powerful. It's very strong energy. And it's a beautiful experience to live that you can do without injuring your body. Flying with the eagle, who's going to be able to do that? Like it's almost impossible to do that. I've seen some video on YouTube, some guys that goes with gliders close to birds, but it's still an amazing experience. And you're not stuck with just Earth, but you can go in the universe. You can go different planet. It's limitless what you can do. But again, you gotta be careful of how you're going to be doing this and make sure you're protected, because when you go outside of the galaxy, which I've been told not to, stay within the galaxy at least, there's again positive and negative everywhere, so you want to make sure to be protected when that happens.
I believe if you just declare I'm protected and know it, you are.
You will be. But you will be. Personally, for me, I know I went to non-voluntarily went there. It's just by curiosity, but I did went to the purgatory once, and I was being drowned by them. They were pulling me out. When I noticed where I was, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be here. And I got there by curiosity. And I was a kid back then. I was like, I don't know, 14, 15 years old when I did that. And it's an angel that came actually pull me out because I couldn't get myself out. I start doing prayers and I start asking, because I just closed my eyes as I was being pulled in, like you see on TV sometimes, as weird as it is. And I was actually asking the archangel come and pull me out because I couldn't get myself out. And they literally grabbed my hand, pulled me out, and brought me back to my body. So, and that's when they told me, like, that was a lesson. Do not do that again. Like, don't play around with that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, lesson learned. So you got to be very careful. So
you were just following whatever wanted to show up.
I was just curious. I was just going everywhere, like, without any intention, without any protection, I was just like, oh, I'm going to experience this. I'm going to experience that. And that's one of the reasons why my mother was like, okay, we need to give you some guidance, some teaching, and some people to help you to guide, and so you know where you're doing and what you're doing. So through a lot of training that I've done through that's when I'm like, okay, that's why this and that's why that. And I was just going free will and just trying stuff. But
you were the kid that like did all this stuff naturally. That is so crazy.
Me, yeah.
Like
it was just instinct. But I've done it so many times when I was in past lives. That for me was just instinct, and I was just doing it.
You were a bit of a handful for your parents.
For that part, like, yes. I was not the...
They're like, there's no handbook for a kid like this. He's like going to all these realms.
I was not a rebel. I was not a troublemaker. But when it comes to the spiritual side, yes, I was definitely a challenge for my parents.
Yeah.
But thankfully, my mother was a pre-indigo, so she knew what was going on, and she understood, and she took many training too, so she totally understand what was going on. So she was able to slap my hand and don't do that.
Yes. Awesome.
And give me the right tools.
What else should we talk about involving energy?
It's so much. There's more in energy than the physical that we can actually live. One thing that I did want to touch is to help people with that, because there's a lot on that section when it comes to entities. I'm seeing that quite a lot with my customers, and they are among us. I mean, we can't avoid it. Just like angels, and just like people that have passed away that are good and bad. The good ones, obviously, a lot of them goes to heaven, but they also sometimes comes to see us, which we we experience a few times in our sessions.
Yeah, angels come to our sessions. I love that.
Yes, we always get. And by the way, people, if you're talking to angels and you get goosebumps, that's them telling you that they're there. A lot of time, people have goosebumps once they are there with you. It's just like, cuckoo, I'm here.
Yeah.
That's their way of saying it, very gently, full of love. But when it comes to entities, obviously there's some around us, and we don't
Like
need
the
to.
dark energy.
Yeah, the dark energy, yeah, and we don't need to pay attention to them. Um, we don't want to have them around us because their feeding is your energy. Basically, they feed on your energy, so you don't want to have them around you, and you try to get rid of them as much as possible. And the place that will be like, if you go somewhere where it feels wrong, you don't like it, your stomach gets tight, usually there's entities around there. So it could be like in clubs, it could be like a place where people do drugs, obviously, black alleys, like where the energy is low, your gut feeling is going to tell you like, don't go there, it's not a good
Like
spot.
stagnant water. I've heard
Yeah.
energies can stay in stagnant water that's not moving.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. And so you can get rid of them different ways. Even your home, you can clean your home. Like a lot of people have like burned sage. That's one of the things that people do. I personally never did that, the burning sage part, but I know it works. And for me, the way I do it, because I got to clear my room quite often after, especially if the person comes for the first time or second time, to clear that those entities that are on them. And I just use regular white salt that has iodine in it. So
Iodine?
iodine, yeah. So I tell the customer, I tell the entity that's in the room to leave the room. They don't need to be there. Go to the light, forgive themselves for what they've done, forgive the people that has done them wrong. And I was cracking a window open, and then I tell them within 3 seconds, I want you to get out of that window where I'm going to point, and then sprinkle some salt, and then release yourself, and throw a little bit of salt everywhere, and that usually do the tricks to release them.
I lived in a haunted house, so there was an entity in a house that I lived in, and I noticed that. Well, first we did try to get someone in to cleanse it, but they said no, don't bother because it's just like feeding birds. If you feed birds and then stop feeding birds, they're going to come back every winter expecting. And so
Okay.
this guy said the same thing. He was like, there's no sense because they'll just keep coming back. And that was not very comforting for me.
No, I couldn't imagine that.
But yeah, what happened, how we dealt with it, was simply literally not giving it any fear, not giving it any attention. And it was the minute we stopped giving attention to it, it stopped. So I don't know if there's something to do with that too.
That's the first time I heard something in that perspective. I could see why that person was saying that. In a way, because we're surrounding, and every time if you bring like older stuff in the house, like something that you bought from somebody else, and not necessarily something new, that's one way entity can come in. If somebody that you don't really like comes into the house, or somebody has bad intention that comes into the house, it could be family members, it could be in-laws, it could be friends, it could be the wife's friend that the husband doesn't like. Like it could be like anybody. If it's not somebody that is as pure as possible, which most people aren't, entities can actually come into the house that way. So yes, there's a lot of ways for them to come in. So maybe that's why she was saying that part of the they'll always come back. But for me, it's impossible. I cannot stand any in the house. Like I had to clean them because they bother me so much. I'm so receptive to them that it literally stops me from sleeping, and they wake me up and they play tricks on me because they know that I'm sensitive. So I entertain them, I guess. So I need to cleanse the house, but it takes so little time that it's totally worth it to do it. And then you can actually do a protection around the house. You can ask some people that has passed away that you love, that you're really tight with, to protect your home. Put them in front of your doors and ask them, like, if somebody has not necessarily bad intent, well, yes, bad intention also, but somebody would have an entity on them to stop them from coming in or stop the entity from coming in the house, even though if you do like that person. And be careful the way you use your words. I've done that personally myself at the apartment we used to have, me and my wife, when we got married. And I said to those people, well, the people that have passed away, I don't want to have any people coming into my house, instead of saying I don't want to have any bad people coming into my house.
Okay.
And literally for 3 months, no friends came into my house. And we were like, we're hostess people. Like, we have friends every weekend at our house. And to the point that some of my best friends were actually coming to the driveway, and it was a nice sunny day during the summertime. And we were talking outside for half an hour or 45 minutes. I'm like, hey, just come inside there. I'm going to give you some water. No, I'm good. I was just stopping by real quick. And literally, they were coming every weekend. And for 3 months, they did not want to come into my house. And me and Debbie look at each other, like, why is nobody coming to our house? Like, our house is clean. Like, we're very clean people. Well, you saw mine.
Yeah.
So we're very clean people. My wife is super clean. And there's nothing wrong. Like, there's no reason why they would not come in. And Debbie looks at me, she's like, how did you phrase that phrase that you asked for people, like, not entertained coming to our house? I'm like, oh my God, that's probably what I did. So I changed my formula and I asked them again, but the proper way. Literally the next day, my best friends start coming back in.
Interesting.
It is that powerful.
Yeah, so you kind of put up this shield.
Yes, exactly.
You put up a shield, and they're like, okay.
Yep.
I don't want the listeners, like, this might be my own fear here, but I don't want my listeners to feel like they need to be afraid of entities or anything like this. So we talked about a lot of the beautiful energy, a lot of the light energy. Let's now talk about the polarity of that.
Yes.
So let's talk about angels. Let's talk
Yes.
about beautiful energy.
All
Let's
right.
get excited about that.
Yes, that's the fun part. That's the really fun part. I'm going to go dark for a second.
Sure.
Before COVID, there was about, I'll say, approximately maybe 5 angels per human being on Earth.
Okay.
And they are there to our disposal to be used to ask. They're our workers. They're there to serve the human beings, among a lot of other stuff.
So we each come in with a certain amount of God, like a certain amount of angels?
Not necessarily per person, just an average number around Earth. And we'll say from last year, within the last year, there's about 200 angels per human being.
So we are flooded with some high frequencies right now. And I believe that. I feel it.
Yes, because the energy of the Earth had to change. The energy was so dark between those 2 years that it was actually affecting other planets.
Okay.
So they had to intervene, but because of our free will as a human being, they can only do so much, and they cannot interfere with our own will. So what the higher energy they did is they actually changed the Earth energy from 3rd dimension to 5th dimension. That was obligating all the trees, the animals, which are grounded all the time, 24/7, to change to the 5th dimension. And then the human beings can start to change themselves too. So obviously people that are more energetically connected like us, we change right away to the 5th dimension. And it makes us more in tune, it makes us more grounded, it makes us more intuition grow and all that. And we can use those angels to protect ourselves more. So we were more protected. That's one of the reasons why they brought like 200 angels per human. And right now we're actually much more higher than 5th dimension. So we're actually working towards the 26. We're getting in that range right now. So we're going to have in September of this year, 2023, there's supposed to be a change again. So we had the first batch of human being actually start to change into 5th dimension. Now in September, which we're there in a few days, it's going to start the second batch. So there's going to be a lot of movement energetically on Earth again, because people don't like change, but it's going to be obviously for the better. And using the angels, we can actually use them to help us through that. I've used the angels all the time. They're my best friends. I use it in my car when I go for a drive. I ask for protection, one in each corner of the car, on a motorcycle drive, when I go rock climbing, when I do activities, when I work. That's obviously when I work. So you can have like I most of the time speak to the archangel, because they're the most powerful ones. And if sometimes they delegate that work that you just asked to another angel that is just underneath them. But yes, you can definitely ask, and they say that all the time, right? If you help yourself, ask God and do yourself, and then it's going to be brought to your life.
Yeah, like
I didn't say that correctly. I'm trying to find the actual phrase. I tried to translate from French to English, which did not work. But basically, that's what it is, to help yourself, and God will help you.
Like, there's a power that is there, that's so on your side, that is so in protection of you, that is so wanting you to win. We all have it.
Yes.
And it's there, and it's activated when we ground, when we go inward, when we ask, when we command it, when we receive it. Yeah.
A lot of people are doing that mistake of, oh, well, they should know.
Yeah.
God should know. My guardian angel should know. No, it doesn't work that way.
So even if you want
You have to
clarity in
ask.
something and you can't seem to find it in your humanness, you could literally say, I want to know
Yes,
the details of this. I want to figure this out. Please
100%.
help me now. Do you have to say God? Do you have to say angels? No.
No,
It's
your
just
intention is
intention.
there. The intention is important. Whatever your belief, what resonates with you. I don't
Yeah.
like the word belief. Whatever you resonate with,
Yeah.
that's the direction you should go, regardless religion you're in,
Right.
like or not. Just the higher power it is, your higher self, the universe, call it the way you want. It's all energy that we're talking about. And yes, you have to ask, physically ask. I want to know this. I want to have help with that. I don't know how to work with this. Like, have trouble with your teenager, ask for guidance.
Yeah.
And pay attention to what's going to be happening in your life, because the answer will be given to you somehow. Don't sit there and wait and like, what are you doing? I'm waiting for the answer. Don't do that. Go on with your life. Try to learn, because you want to put your intention in that direction, and it will be brought to you. It could be brought from a flash of memories. It could be somebody knocking at the door and actually like, hey, you might want to read this book. I really liked it. I thought of you. I think you're gonna like it too. And there's your answer you were looking for. Or just somebody you're talking to, and they're just gonna boom give you the answer as a conversation going through. It's like, oh, this and that and that. So it's the angel are working so weird. You cannot. Our human brain is too limited to be able to see the pattern of how the answer is going to come to you. I'll give you a small story about another of my customer that I, sh- she's very open to energy, and she's starting to work towards that, and very open to the plants, medicinal plants, and she's curious about it. She didn't start yet. She's just curious about it. So actually, that's the same girl as earlier about the Indian person, because she used to have that in her past life. So her grandmother, which has passed away, wanted her to learn about those plants, the healing plants, because it is in her DNA, in her blood, and she was curious about it. Now, my best friend has started gardening a few years ago, and he's starting to learn like the past year about those plants, and he read a book, and most of them are what we call weeds here in Canada, but a lot of them are actually medicinal.
Like mugwort and
Dandelions, and there's a lot of them actually. And we were, I gotta apologize there, but we were in a parking lot here in Moncton, and right beside the parking lot there was like a little patch of grass and weeds and stuff. And when we were parked there, he was showing me like, this is a weed, right? He says, I'm like, yeah. He says, no. And then he took out a leaf and he showed me what it is, and there was like a little pus within inside of the leaf. When you were taking that out, it says, this is medicinal. This is taking pain away. So you can put that on your skin. If you have stomach problem, you can digest this, and it's going to take the pain away, blah, blah, blah. And that was just a weed beside the road, like right beside the parking lot. And he showed me like 5 or 6 different weeds that are all medicinal. And I'm like, where did you learn all that stuff? He says, oh, it's this book. So he sent me a link of the book to my cell phone on a text. And he says, learn this stuff because we might need that in the future. I'm like, okay, that's actually interesting.
Good point, though, too.
Yes, with everything's going on. So when I was speaking to that young girl during the session, her grandmother came to see us during the session, and she was telling me to tell her about that book.
Cool.
So I explained that to her, and she's like, oh my God, that resonates with me like you would not believe. I want to read that book. I'm so interested. This is what I need. And then her grandmother started laughing. So I just kind of look aside, and she's like, what? I'm like, I'm looking at her grandmother. She's laughing right now. And not laughing at us, but just laughing at the situation.
Like just joyful about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was like, finally it's happening. She was excited. And I'm like, why are you laughing? And then she tells me that she used him to start the garden part, to have food for his home, and then start to learn about all the medicinal plants, and for him to read that book so he can tell me about the book, so I can tell her, so she can start growing with
Isn't that a beautiful story? And that is such a beautiful story, because that is like confirming just that we're all in this together, for one, and that spirit is in control, for
Yes.
two.
Much more
And
than we think.
also to bring the mantra of treat every day of your life, every instance, every conversation as a conversation with the divine.
I like that. Yes.
Yeah.
I get a lot of goosebumps right now. They're with us right now, and it shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like,
definitely.
I mean, even when I met you at the wellness fair, right? Like, I had to be working for a certain company there that day. I had to have a pulled neck muscle to be walking around at the end of the wellness expo looking for a massage therapist that might be able to help me stay a little later. I go to you because I knew that there was a massage therapist near you at your booth. He's gone home. I'm like, do you do massage? You're like, no, I do this. You told me what you did. And I was like, oh, there's a ballot box. I may as well put a ballot. So I did the one ballot. You took the ballot. It was the one ballot I filled out throughout the whole weekend. Like, a lot of people go to these places.
That, if you remember.
Did I?
Yes, you're like, I gotta win. This is for me. You're putting in there, I'm winning first place, and you were dropping at the same time. I'm like, yes, it is yours.
Yes.
And it actually happened when I called you.
Did.
Like, you start laughing about it.
And I don't think it was that I was one of the last ballots, because you really shook that box up, right? Like,
I did.
You really did. And you said a prayer to the angels ahead of time, too, that those who need to win.
I wanted the right people to win, not tire kickers, as they say.
Yeah.
Somebody that want to test me. I wanted somebody that would appreciate what I do, and I wanted somebody that would benefit from my services. And yeah, your name popped out, and now we're friends.
And it's interesting, like, now here you are talking about angels on my podcast, and I have so many listeners who are probably really needing to hear this, because they're ready to receive divine guidance, or maybe they are right now and they need that confirmation of, like, okay, like, all of these beautiful synchronicities, they're not just chance.
Yeah.
They are spirit. And, like, I love how you mentioned that there's so many angels with us now compared to a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're seeing that a lot of people are much more open to energies. And
it's happening a lot, yes.
And a lot of the books that used to be popular aren't as popular anymore, just because we're so much more high frequency now.
Exactly.
I did a Reiki training recently, and the woman leading the training, she's like, the frequencies are so high right now that I don't even know if I want to teach this Reiki anymore, because, like, we're just so much higher now.
Yes.
Like, the vibrations are just, like, gorgeous right now. And what a time to be alive. But to have that confirmation that it's not just a little synchronicity, it's magic. Like, it's a beautiful spiritual event.
It is. And we were meant to, the possibility are endless, and the amount of power that we have access to is endless. When we work with the angels, like for me, when I channel them within me for helping a customer, or even helping my parents once, it was, I think it was like 17 or 18 years old at that time, and I channeled I was doing Reiki back then. That was before I did the pulsars and all that. Well, I did pulsars to my parents, but not like as a business, since I was still a kid. One of the angels during one of the sessions, and it's just to give you a little idea of everybody, the listeners, to see how powerful they can be. I did a pulsar session to my father once because he had pain in his lower back. And after the pulsar session, I told him, "You want me to give you energy?" And he says, "Yes." All right. So I started to do Reiki on his back. And while I was doing Reiki, I could see in the corner of my eye, there were 3 white angels right beside the bed, and they were just looking at me doing nothing, just looking. And they were beautiful. Like, I could see them so vividly, like really, really well. And I looked at them like, well, do something. Don't just stand there. And the one that was in the middle, in the center, I should say, she looked at me and she says, no, with her head. And I looked at my father and I'm like, Dad, is there like the angels are here. And he doesn't feel them, but he says, okay, that's nice. I love angels too. So, and I asked him, they don't want to give you energy, so why is that? And he says, I don't know. He said, I'm like, are you going to go back to work? He says, yeah, I got to do this and this and this in the motel. Like I said earlier, he's a big worker, right? I'm like, no, I think you need to take a day off for yourself. He says, oh, well, okay. And then I look at the angels again, and she looks at me and she says no again. And I looked at my father again. I'm like, they're still saying no. I'm like, are you still going to go to the motel after this? He said, well, I just got to go sign the checks, which is obviously kind of important. And I'm like, no, you're not even supposed to go to the motel at all. Like, if you want the angels to help you, you need to stay home. He says, all right, okay. I'll stay home and I'll relax tonight. And today I'll read a book and I'll just relax all day. And when he said that, as soon as he says, okay, the angels start walking towards me. And they went right behind me. I'm like, all right, they said yes, they're going to give you some energy. So the angel in the middle, she's the one that came behind me. And she came literally in my back, and she put her hand right in front of my hands like this. And she waited like maybe an inch on top of my hand. And she says, I'm going to give you a glimpse of energy. And I'm like, go for it. I'm ready. She says, no, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be intense. Just last as long as you can. I'm going to try. So she says, are you ready? I'm like, yeah. So my hands were on my father's back, and I was about like an inch on top of his head, of his back. And when she put her hand in me, she put her arm and she went through my body. Like I could feel like it went into my body, and she just started giving energy. It lasts maybe 5 seconds. It was that fast. And after the 5 seconds, I'm like, ugh, holy. My dad turns around, like, what was that? I'm like, the angel was giving energy. And when I did that, she got out of me right away. And then she looked at me and she says, that was the glimpse. I just literally gave you a drop of energy. That's what she did. My dad's back had my handprint red on his back.
What a story.
My hand was red. My face was red. I was sweating like I ran a marathon. My shirt was all wet of sweat. Literally only last 5 seconds, I went from normal temperature to like superheating my body. And that was just the energy that she was giving. And when my dad walked out of the bedroom, I literally went to the kitchen and I drank like a liter of water straight because it was so overwhelming for me. And I was like, I ran, like my body was like, my heart was pumping like crazy. My mother looks like, what's going on? And my father got out of the bedroom and walked in front of mom in the living room. And he was, didn't have a shirt, obviously. And she's like, Bert, like you had 2 handprint on your back. He's like, what? And he went into the mirror and he looks, and he could see my 2 handprints. But I say my hands, but it was the angel giving that energy to his back pain that he had that morning. So that's how much energy, like they are limitless. They're connected directly to God, and their energy is limitless. So the power that the angels can have, it is crazy what they can do.
I've felt you working with an angel on me. It was a lot of heat at my crown.
It every time it depends. So far, that was one of the most intense that I've got. Sometimes it's very smooth. Sometimes I get hot, I get warm, but it's nothing too crazy. And sometimes it's intense like that, all depending the customer or the person that I'm working with, whatever they need at that moment, if it needs to be drastic or if it needs to be smooth. And again, their attention after. So if they're over pushing their body, and then I give them energy to heal, and through the angels, obviously not me, and then they're gonna re-push back their body. The angels are like, well, if you're not gonna behave, I'm not gonna give you the cookie.
Yeah, so that is something. It's like we need to, after our healing sessions or our meditations, we need to really sustain that energy in our bodies.
You gotta respect it, and respect your body. And we only have one vehicle. We gotta take care of it. So that's one of the angel knows how you're going to behave after. So they're going to give you what you need at that moment. If it's just a hop, if it's just a boost, or it's an actual heal, or if the lesson has been learned, there's like so much more going on behind the scene that we don't see, but they do.
Yeah.
So if the lesson is not learned yet, well, we're not going to heal you because you need to learn that lesson. But if it has been learned, then we can heal you. So because the body and the soul is ready for it.
So to a listener who is like, okay, all this sounds amazing, and maybe they will book with you, maybe they'll do a long distance treatment or an in-person treatment, but what if they want to just get to know angels in their own home or out on their walk or when they're going to sleep? Do you have any tips on how they can connect to these beautiful high frequency beings that you know darn well exist because you've felt them with you for your entire life and
Yes.
you work with them? And it's, like any advice for how we could connect on our own or notice their presence around us? Because they're probably around us all the time.
Yes, especially
so how can
today.
we
I know if you feel them today.
Oh, I feel them always.
I keep having goosebumps all the time. I'm like, I know you guys are there. Stop it.
They're here in the room?
Oh, yes, they are in the room. My God.
How many do you think there are right now?
There's at least 10 strong one. My mother's on my left side for sure. She came in the same time as I did. I prayed to her this morning. So, but yeah, there's definitely 10 strong, but there's they're laughing because they're not limited to the size of the room.
Oh.
They can be like hundreds in here, technically, even though we're just in a small little room.
I would love it if they could help me with my neck and shoulder. if they feel like it.
Maybe after we're done here, we'll do a little something there. But yeah, for the people that would like to experience this, I think one of the main things, if you can get that into control, it's going to help you tremendously. And people, they're not going to like me when I say that, but it's definitely the key. And it might be a little bit cliche, but literally be in the moment.
Be in the moment. Be in the present
people,
moment.
Yeah, that's exactly what the angels are saying. Like, people don't even realize how strong that little phrase is. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, some people, like, I tell my wife that I love her, obviously. And sometimes we talk to each other and we look at each other's eyes, because my wife is super indigo also. Like, we feel each other a lot in the energy. And we keep saying, like, the word love is so small compared to what it actually, what we have.
Oh, wow, beautiful that is.
When it comes to that with the energy, when I just said be in the moment, it's the same thing. It is so small compared to actually what it actually is. Like, literally being in the moment for yourself. The grounding is going to help. Being alone is going to help. Putting meditation, putting incense, essential oils, and all those things, it's all tools that's going to help you to be more in the present moment. But literally to shut down the brain and not think at all. Tell the monkeys, take a break, and literally be here in the moment, especially for yourself, It might last 10 seconds the first time, but it's going to build up just like muscle working out in the gym, and you can bring it up to 30 seconds, to a minute, 15 minutes. Monks doing it for hours and days, literally shutting down their brain and channeling in whatever you need to have as an answer, as a connection. And some people do it through painting, through sports, through sitting down beside the beach. Arts is definitely one of the good ways to connect, to stop the brain and just be in the moment while you're doing that activity.
So that is how to be in the micro.
Yeah.
Like, just when you're sipping your water, noticing, oh wow, this is so.
Just like the podcast you said about the water, 100%, 100%. And
so all those things, as you're cooking your dinner, really thinking of, okay, this is how this grows. I'm grateful for the garden I have where I planted it, and thinking of just the gratitude for the sun and all of this, and then getting your pan out and putting a little oil in and noticing the sizzle, and like thinking of the health of what you're eating and the nourishment it's going to give your body. Is this what you're talking about?
That's exactly what it is, putting back the intention, which we're touching back. How many times did we say the word intention today?
Yeah, intention is everything.
Back into that is to be, when you put your intention to it, that's when you are actually in the moment.
So,
and the food's going to be better, the smell's going to be better, the quality's going to be better, your sense is going to be just lit up when you do those whatever you're doing, the food, the water, the activity, your sense is just getting all amplified.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. I love it.
It all interconnects.
So even things like if you typically watch a show when you're eating dinner, maybe tonight light some candles and sit at your table, even if you live alone. I actually did that last night, and I was like, that is a very nice thing to do. Light a few candles, sit with your meal.
Yeah.
I had a little magazine, and I'm having this thing where I'm letting myself read an article as I eat. It's just those simple, beautiful little things that you can do. Because really, we are souls. We are expansive. We are here for a reason, and part of that is to experience contrast of being in our humanness, experiencing this world from this vessel that we're in. And I know sometimes it can feel like this is all there is, but it ain't. Like, there's so much more. There's so much more. This is just a little teeny little glimpse.
The more you'll learn, the more you'll know how much you don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many people who try to put their beliefs into a box, and it's like, I couldn't even try to do that, because it's like you said, the more we know, the less we know. It's like we're all just here trying to piece together the mystery of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's be in the present moment. Let's connect with those angels. Let's connect with that support that's always here. I love that. We are just about out of time. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming into the
Thank
studio.
you so much for getting me. I'm always having a blast when I'm with you here doing those podcasts.
Very grateful, Eric. Super grateful. And for the listeners, if any of you are really drawn to Eric's energy or things he says, he is writing a book right now, which is amazing. It's not out yet, but I will have the link to his website in the show notes as well as his social platforms. And yeah, I have had nothing but beautiful results. Like I said, I have connected so much deeper to really seeing that, no, I do feel energy. I do.
Oh, you do feel
it. Like I've always been an energetic being, but now I really do.
I think now you're more capable of distinguishing when it's happening, what is happening.
Yeah. And I'm grateful. So, and I'm also grateful for this platform of podcasting, just that whoever is listening can be connected to these people that I interviewed. Like we said, life is a conversation with the divine, and like whoever stumbles upon this podcast, it may be right in a time where they need it. So you guys, I invite you to just get quiet, get grounded, get appreciative of the present moment, and feel the goosebumps Eric's talking about, and know that they're beautiful. We talked a little bit about the darker energies on this podcast as well. That was very important for me to do that because I'm somebody who grew up in a beautiful, wonderful Christian home, and it was like so foundational and so beautiful, and I'm so forever grateful for that. And I also did pick up a little bit of conditioning about being afraid of lifting the spiritual veil, of seeing what is beyond, like, seeing into the spiritual realms. And my veil really did open 2 years ago, and I was seeing beautiful things, and then I got scared. And I knew the difference of the angels and the fairies and the darkness, and it was very evident to me. And I think that the biggest thing is to, in life in general, in all areas, is to, how can we feel as comfortable and safe and in control as possible?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is part of it, accepting to know that, yes, there is lower, denser energies, and there's high, beautiful, magnificent energies. And to be reminded that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be transformed. And that is so true. And so even if you do say something negative does visit you some night, and you recognize it, you can instantly transform that.
Yep.
Instantly.
Exactly.
And I think that is a message that someone wants to hear. Like, there's a part of me, when we started talking about the darker energies, I was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't. I don't want to scare people. But no, it's truth. It's real. It's out there.
Yeah, you need to know, like, same thing as real life, right?
Yeah.
So, but just because there's darkness out there, like even in a human form, there's bad people out there, sadly. It doesn't mean that there's nothing beautiful. There's beautiful too. And whatever you resonate is what you're going to attract.
Yeah.
So you need to know the negative side to appreciate the positive side.
Yeah.
And for you to be more mindful of yourself, to stay in a positive, higher vibration, to attract more of this higher vibration. And if something happened negative on your life, because it will, it is life, doesn't matter if it's big or small, that you recognize, oh, okay, this negative thing just happened to me. Why? Is it a learning lesson, or is it my energy? Look within to see what's going on. Look to see why you attract that into your life. And maybe you're like, okay, well, maybe I was negative, or I talked bad about this person, or I've been moody lately, or I hate my job, or the reason XYZ. And like, okay, I know I got to fix this now. So now that you know the cause, you can actually repair and change to get back positive and bring back the light into your life to attract back those beautiful things in life.
And it can be as simple as intention. Like, okay, awareness, intention, doing a new thing.
That was from up there, by the way, guys. That was not me.
Yeah, oh, I love it when the angels
I was listening as I was saying, I'm like, oh, this is good. This is not me, but this is good. Thank you, angels.
I love that. Thank you, angels. I always ask if there's anything else we should share, and I guess they said it.
That was it.
Yeah. So I think this has been a beautifully expansive episode, and I'm super grateful, Eric. Thank you.
Same. Thank you for letting me be able to share this with other people, because I love helping people and I love seeing the change into people. That's my reward. That's what I love.
And it's evident. You're a very kind man, and like so grateful to have found you on my path. Listeners, your homework this week, because we always have homework.
Yes.
I believe a way to connect with the angels is through music, through playing beautiful melodies, singing beautiful melodies.
Definitely.
So I encourage you to use your voice this week if you can. Last podcast episode, we talked about singing.
You did, yeah.
And that was a beautiful, beautiful episode where like
special.
Danica transmuted energy through her voice. I invite you to do that this week. If your heart is hurting, can you sing to your heart?
Mm-hmm.
If your mind feels hectic and chaotic, can you sing to that? I also encourage you to, like Eric said, connect with the angels by appreciating the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So that is your homework this week. And if you enjoyed this episode, please do share it out with anybody in your life who could use its healing magic. Thank you so much for being a listener. I am so grateful for you. And it really warms my heart knowing that we're sprinkled all over the world.
I like that.
And we're all connected. And we're all listening to the same messages.
Yes.
So I will see you in 2 weeks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.